All right, welcome to another episode of Big Bun Game Club. It's been like what? It feels like 2 weeks since the last time we
Uh,
did a episode. But
yeah, we only missed last week, and
yeah.
last week we were hanging out in person.
Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that's because like
Doesn't it doesn't it
huh?
feel like that was so long ago?
Yeah.
It was literally what time? It was literally a week from today. Didn't we hang
Yeah.
out on Thursday?
It was either Thursday or Wednesday. It was one of those 2 days. I think.
Yeah,
I think it might have been Wednesday.
yeah, you're probably right. No, it definitely was Wednesday because I was in Lake George on Thursday.
Oh okay.
So
Yeah. See, I
I
knew
went
it.
to that part of the next day.
All
Yeah,
right. So did
and
you?
me.
Huh?
Oh,
Oh no.
I
What
was
were
just
you gonna
gonna say
say?
we played River City Girls.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we'll look into that. We'll get into that momentarily. But did he get any further in Ghostrunner?
No.
Ah, well,
Embarrassingly, I tried it with mouse and keyboard, and it's a lot easier. But I'm in vacation mode, man. I just didn't no time to play video games. There's too much other stuff to do.
no, I feel you because I already like I already told you last week I beat the game.
Yeah,
It's the story was what I expected from it. Like the twist was
yeah.
pretty obvious. Like the architect guy ends up being like the bad guy, but it's it is at least a decent twist where at first you're just like, okay, something's going on, whatever, but at the end it's revealed to you that like the architect just tells you he wants to take over your body because he just wants to kind of like enslave humanity to this new like cyborg army he wants to enslave people with. Like it's this whole like thing about human evolution and the relationship with technology and all that sci-fi mumbo jumbo, but it was at least a little like fun. It's just the last part of the game is only a boss fight in the sense of how the platforming is structured. The platforming is the hardest part of that whole segment because by the time you catch up to the architect, he's just some old guy on top of a tower that you just kind of shove off.
You just murder him.
Yeah, because he. But it was. I always love like you meet him. He's just like this grumbly old guy. Like you need me. You can't live without me. And you're just like, my name is Jack. You just like kind of, you think you just like slice him up, and it's like, oh, okay. And then it just ends with everyone saying like, oh, we're now free. We have complete freedom now, and we don't have to worry about this company ever again, thanks to the sacrifice of Jack. It's like, oh, cool.
So I feel like you hate. Like, I don't remember which game you were talking about, but you don't like last bosses like that, right?
I
Like you want it to be like a good challenge. You don't think it's a good payoff to just murder him at the end.
I I don't mind if it like I like a fight more, but the platforming was fine. What I just didn't like was they have these two walls that are moving at the same time, and you have to wall jump, like run on one side and jump on both sides while dodging the obstacles. But every time I would try to do that, I would either not run on the other wall, like I would just be off just slightly, and he just wouldn't either stick on the wall, or I just would not have enough momentum to make it to the other side of the wall. So like that part was just frustrating. Like I almost just stopped playing the game because of that segment. And then after that, it was like that was like the only hard part of that whole segment. Like the wall running segments were the worst part. Everything else was like easy. But it's just it was this question of like momentum and keeping up that momentum. But it is rewarding in the sense of like it does test you on what you've done over the game. Like the game you're doing all this wall running and at the end it expects you to master the momentum of what you get out of it. So it's good in the sense that it doesn't feel like you're just forgetting what you've learned along the way. It does at
Yeah,
least kind of apply what you've done, but it's not. It's just the momentum just was driving me up the wall when I was doing it.
but then it must have been a relief when it's just like, okay, you just have to murder an old man at the top, right?
Yeah, like it was like satisfying. Like that's what I liked about. Like that's when I got to that ending, I was like, oh, that's whatever, fine. Like it didn't feel like a waste of time. It didn't feel as upsetting as it was like Resistance 2, for example. Like that one, you're just running out of a hallway pretty much, and that's it. Or Gears of War 3, where you're just kind of getting a one-hit kill on the boss. Like that stuff is awful, but this at least kind of felt like I made it to the top and I was like, oh, I did it. And it was this big like climax and everything like with that and the story just kind of paid off both in all that areas.
Um, yeah, it's funny. I haven't played Gears of War 3 or Resistance 2, so I can't speak to those endings. But I'm actually a fan of the easy last boss because it's like, here you go. Because like, you ever watch like a movie and you're like, I can't wait till they kill this guy, and it's like, finally they get him. It's like I kind of the same feeling with that. Like one of my favorites is Urban Rain. Have you ever played Urban Rain?
Yeah, I played Urban Rain. I don't remember it very well, but I did beat it.
So like the second to last level is like the hardest level in the game because you fight like two of the strongest characters. If I'm remembering correctly. I remember the 90 there's 100 levels. The 99th level is ridiculously hard. Then the last boss is like the mayor of the town and he just has a gun and you just punch him in the face once and he dies. And it's fucking awesome because it's like I just went through hell and it's like, oh, now you just get to punch one guy in the face and it's over. But he has a gun, so he can kill you in one hit too.
Well, yeah, but when you get to that final mayor, is there like another stage you have to go through to get to that final boss, or is like you beat the boss and then you're just at the mayor immediately? Because I think if it's like that, then that's fine. I don't mind that kind of shit. It's just when you're going through all this shit and then you just see the final boss and there's nothing hard before or whatever, it's just a level. And you're just like,
I
all
see.
right, easy. Like Gears of War 3, like it does like I don't remember what led up to the final boss, but it was just it was insultingly easy. Like it wasn't like fun. It was just you're in a helicopter and you're just kind of pointing and clicking to kill the boss, and it's just it
See what you're
wasn't.
saying.
Yeah, because at least with the mayor, you can't like fuck around. He can still he can kill you in one hit. This was like it's
It,
impossible for you to die unless you like don't do anything.
I see what you're saying. It's like it's anticlimactic. It's like with Urban Rain version. I mean, the Urban Rain thing I'm talking about is like it's an arena fighter basically, right? So you play level 99, you beat it, it's hard as shit, and then you pick level 100 and you're just in the mayor's office and he's like, "Oh, you figured me out, blah 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 blah." And then you just punch him in his face. It's great. Cuz it's like all of the the tensions are a little bit down, but it's like also the conclusion of the whole game. It's not like, oh, like I'm fired up for a final battle. Like you just fought a final battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I see what you're saying.
I
So it's
mean,
like with Ghostrunner, it seemed like there was a hard platforming challenge that you had to go through, and then it's like, okay, here's the end, and you just get to fucking release all your fucking rage of going through that, right?
yeah, because like and the platforming part does have good checkpoints. Like it never sets you all the way to the beginning, so at least it kind of encourages you to keep going. But it was just the momentum was just annoying because I kept thinking, okay, I did the jump fine. Why am I not running on the wall? Oh, of course it's just stuff like that. It might be some minute thing that I'm just not doing at the right time, or like maybe I'm not holding the button long enough to do a long jump or whatever. But uh, it's just that was just an ongoing frustration with that game as a whole. Like like the wall jumping is like it's fun, but it's just it you could die from an enemy, you're like, okay, I know why I died there, but then it's just like, okay, I just need a wall, like, you could go through a hard-ass gauntlet of enemies, and you just need to kill one dude, and you're just like, I just need a wall run to him, and I'll get him. Just a perfect wall run, and then you just slide right off
All
and
right.
you die, and you're just like, god damn it, I have to do the whole thing again.
Yeah, that just seems like what the challenge of the game is, right? So it's no different for the final boss or the first level, right? Like
Yeah.
like I was saying in the first time we played it, it's like I was just dashing right off of walls because I didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, it just seems like it's that type of game.
It's funny to me, there's like, three boss fights in the game. Like there's in the gatekeeper when you're fighting this big tower, just cutting off the power cords for it. That was like the hardest boss. The second hardest was like they got easier as you went almost because the second big boss fight you fight like another samurai character. And the only tricky part of that one is just you have to parry like the final hit, and then you can, or at least you have to keep parrying and notice the pattern. Once you get that, it's like easy to just beat her. Like it took me
Yeah.
a while, but once I learned the pattern and knew where she was going and all that, it was like, all right, she's done. the final boss fight before the platforming is Mara, and you're just that one. It looked way harder than what they expected you to do. All it was is okay. She's gonna do like a tentacle attack. You have to try to get her to land her tentacles into like a generator, so it stuns her, and you just slice off her tentacles. And you're like, okay, that's easy. But each time she introduces a new attack, but it's very easy to know the pattern. And it's like, okay, like this is kind of cathartic because at least it's just like whatever, fuck it. But at the same time, I don't know, like whatever you expect with that boss fight. I don't know if it's gonna please everyone or nobody, but it was a fun fight. All the like, even though they got easier, they were still kind of fun because they weren't like insultingly easy. They were just like easy because you've done it so many things till then that it's like, oh, okay, like you're already in
Yeah. So
that thought process.
what was the deal with Mara? Like, was she the bad? Like, was she bad, or did you kill her? Like,
You did kill her, and she was bad. Like the things that there were two enemies, two villains in this game. That one was like Mara locks this guy up, the architect, because he wanted her dead to take over. So she locked her up, but she was also enslaving everyone else. So the architect was using the resistance to get to where she is, and then he can like upload his code into the Ghostrunner, and then just kind of take over from there. So it was just it's it's kind of like Portal 2 if you think about it, where you meet this other AI. That AI takes over Gladys, and then you team up with Gladys, and it's like that kind of like idea where the villain is like your friend for a while, then he's gonna turn on you. Like it's kind of like
but
huh?
he just wanted to take her place. So why didn't he just do that though? Why didn't he just like team up with her?
Because he didn't want to be second in command, and he didn't want her there at all. Like they both had different agreements with what they wanted, and she was like, okay, if you're not agreeing with me, just go away. And she just sent him in that prison. Again, like that is, as I said before, like some of the story I barely remember in this game, because it's half the time they're telling you the story. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna run around, and it's like I keep dying, and I forget what was said before, and it's like, okay, like I remember the gist of it, where it's like, okay, I know the resistance is going against Mara. The architect was the bad guy, like because they were talking about like how the Ghost Runner was some kind of like scientific discovery. Like, oh, you're like because apparently the main character starts asking the architect, like, what am I? Like, who am I? And he's like, oh, well, you're like the perfect link between man and machine. You're like the perfect being. And he's like, I didn't ask for what am I? I'm saying who. And so it's like that kind of shit.
So I don't know. It's just funny. What happened with that resist? Because the part on the game I'm at is where we hear that resistance member, and he's like, it's just one woman. Leave her alone. Who cares? And what was her deal? Was she like a major character or no?
She wasn't because like she did the final narration of the story, because I think along the lines she tells like the ghost runner, like, I have to go, I have to do something else or whatever. Like there was some reason why she had to like split off, but I don't remember why. It's just because they were saying like, I gotta go, I can't, this is the last time I'll be talking to you, and it's like, oh, okay. Like so you never really see her at all in the game. You just see Mara and the architect.
You know what's so funny about like the way that game ends? Because like everyone's like happy in the end. It's like that's definitely not what would happen if there was some woman that was enslaving the entire world, and she gets killed. Like it wouldn't just be like, oh, everything's happy now. It'd be fucking anarchy.
Yeah, like there would be a power vacuum, but usually in these kind of stories, it after you beat like a monster or like a bad guy, it's always like peace for like a day, everyone's happy, and then like because it did. I could see it being open to a sequel. Like I could see a Ghost Runner 2 where like some other guy takes over the technology that's left behind, because it's like, yeah, everyone wants to be free from this enslavement, but so everyone's gonna be on the same page. You beat him, everyone's happy, and then like later on, it doesn't go all that far in the story, because I mean then the game would just be ongoing at that point. Like it just
Right.
needs to have a nice clean
Yeah,
end.
they have to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to end it, but it's just so unrealistic. It's like, yeah, you just killed the ruler over the entire world. Yay! Like, no way. Someone's gonna take the power.
Yeah, I mean, like that makes me think of MGS4 because they had a nice line of dialogue because they talk about how the Patriots build those AIs to like run the world. Like it runs the economy, it runs all these systems in place, and it's like, oh, we just destroyed GW and the Patriots are gone. It's like, well, what about all these systems that are like attached to it? It's like, no, the code took out the Patriots, but all that vital stuff is still intact. It's like, oh, okay, like, sure. They had a perfect virus to get rid of the AI, but not the stuff that they would actually need. So it's that kind of nonsense. So that's what Ghostrunner needed. It needed to have a little line of dialogue that says everything that's important is intact, but the things that we don't like are gone.
Yeah. And a cyborg samurai that can cut people in half in one shot is responsible for world peace. He dismantled all the systems. Yeah, okay.
No, it was a virus. Not the cyborg barely did anything at the end. If you think about it, they sent Snake in a microwave, and then like they uploaded the virus after that microwave scene. Now in Rising, that's a whole different,
that's another part
different story.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Rising shows like the truth. It's like, no, everyone has like little personal Metal Gears now.
Yeah.
And like kidnap child soldiers and puts their brain in a jar.
I just laughed like when that game was released and it was out, everyone like was like, this ruins the ending of MGS4. MGS4 had this great ending and Rising ruins it. And I was just sitting there, I was like, it's even like aside that, yeah, as you said, like people are gonna still like make Metal Gears and do all this kind of war shit, whatever. I mean, and even MGS4 doesn't end on world peace. It just ends on like, yeah, we just destroyed the Patriots, and that's pretty much it. Like,
right.
But
which is like, yeah,
even then,
it's just funny you celebrate that, but all this shit is so fucked up still.
Yeah,
like,
and even then, like,
you solved nothing.
And
you stopped Liquid Awesome.
I don't even think like Rising is that offensive to the timeline. It's like you could ignore it or acknowledge it part of the timeline if you want. It's not. It doesn't really like wedge itself that deep into the lore. It's like, this is a sequel. If you want it to be canon, it can. It's like so. It's so insignificant to the whole arc of the story. Like, not Peace Walker, Portable Ops is a little more silly with the canon because like they claim that they made a clone of the boss. Like they took the boss's genes and made another soldier. Like it was like it's basically like the prototype of what they did to Big Boss, and it's like this is so weird. They cloned the boss, and then they also insinuate that someone set up Snake Eater. Like that whole story of like Vulcan launching the nuke to that lab in MGS3 was all a setup. Like they all planned for the boss to be assassinated. It's like this is like sure there was a degree of like the boss was just playing a triple agent or whatever, but some of it is a little silly with what it was like trying to twist. Like Portable Ops felt like it was trying to be MGS2 with MGS3's kind of setting, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
yeah, the thing with Metal Gear and their whole like, it was on purpose the whole time really bothers me. Even in the first one, it's like, yeah, we set this whole thing up just so you would get the like warm up the nuclear key. Like that we did all this for this? Like you should just let me walk through the door then.
yeah.
Like why did
every time I play that game, that part doesn't make sense. Like the only thing I could think of is that Oslo and Liquid just didn't like were just in that room and they didn't know when Snake was coming, so they're like, "Oh, he's here early. Well, we gotta delay him so we can leave." So it's like we'll just like have the card be like shoot the card out of his hand so it gets eaten by a rat or some dumb shit. But it was just like they didn't have to meet in that room. They could have been anywhere in that base, and like, but it's also like MGS1 kind of has a level of cheese to that whole game as it is. So I think like if the game and the story has a cheesy tone, it's like I can let dumb shit slide. But MGS4 is kind of where I draw the line. It goes way too far, where it's like this is way too cheesy and just annoying. Like it had so much fan service parading through. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, Johnny Sasaki is here pooping again. Okay, like move on.
He's
Like
cool now.
yeah, and then he marries Meryl for no good reason. That whole thing just was so dumb. Like the whole motive, like
So
of
dumb.
Meryl wanting to get married. It's like okay, like what? Like this, they could have just left it where it was, and it would have been fine. But they just made it just
I will.
ruined Meryl's character to me.
Yeah, I do really like the whole angle of he refused the nanomachines, so he's like immune to all that stuff. That
It,
is kind of fun.
yeah,
Like it explains why he shoots all the time.
yeah, and like it does fit his character. It's
Yeah,
just no. There are just so many things that are just kind of like too much. It's just too much on like
yeah, it's
it did feel like that because I still don't because I kept hearing like oh well Kojima was like made this out of pressure to make a sequel to finish the story. It's like okay sure maybe but it does feel that way the more I play it because it's like it's so like it tries to please everyone. It tries to answer every little question that it doesn't even need to answer. Like we don't need to think about why Vamp is Vamp, but we have to know that he has nanomachines or whatever. Like
yeah.
the only one reference they
So
made that
basically,
like was they mentioned Dr. Madgar, which was like an old reference from an old ass Metal Gear game, like the MSX Metal Gears. So they have some like throwaway reference to
uh,
him, which was nice.
yeah, I think the whole game can just be Senator Armstrong can sum up the whole game with the line "nanomachines, son." Like
Yeah,
that's all fucking Metal Gear Solid is.
and that is my favorite boss fight in that game. I love that
So
fight is so good. The music to it too. Oh, like
yeah,
it's just it's that I still think about that fight time to time. The only thing that's kind of bullshit is when he has to throw like shit at you and you have to like slice it perfectly. There's so many times where I'm like, I was just off by one
yeah.
little inch. It's like, all right, you died. Do the whole fight again. It's like, god damn it, why? And I was doing them very hard, so it was a hard ass fight.
It's so, yeah, it's so fun though. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's one of those things where I was like, a hard game, it's fun to lose. Like when you know it's a fun game when it's fun to lose, because like Senator Armstrong gave me a real tough time, but like I never wanted to stop playing because it's so fun.
Oh, that makes me think of so last week Guilty Gear came out, the new one, and that I've been loving Guilty Gear like ever since like the Exard games on PlayStation 3 and all that. But those that fighting game, I can go on a losing streak and still have fun with it. It's just it's so rewarding just to land a basic ass
Yeah,
combo. And I love the ranking system in this game where you're going through like a tower. So depending on how much you win or how good you get, you might be moved up to one level, and it can go down. So once you move up a level, that the previous level gets locked out from entering. So you keep climbing the tower, but if you lose, you get sent back down to another level. But you can also choose your opponents. Like you see all these other opponents in like a room, and you can choose which one you want to fight. So if it's a character you hate, it's like I don't want to fight Soul Bad Guy. I'm gonna fight this guy instead because he's I'm gonna just fight that character or whatever. So you can at least choose what kind of character you want to fight, and you don't have to choose. You don't have to fight like the same people almost. Which is like Street Fighter. Every time I play Street Fighter, I always fight fucking Ryu's and Ken's.
yeah, nice. What's the new Guilty Gear game called?
Guilty Gear Strive.
When did that come out?
And it came out June 11th. So it came out like last week.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, speaking of games that are coming out, so we played uh, River City Girls,
Yeah,
which was a lot of fun.
it was
Did you
great.
know that the second one was coming out?
So this is what this E3 has been the most like whatever E3, which is like whatever, the pandemic, coronavirus, whatever. Like sure, it might delay some games,
Yeah.
whatever. But this year, like the indie scene was huge. Like all these indie develop games are just came out. They all look amazing. Like so I was like in whatever mood, and this is coming off of Square Enix, where Square just kind of delivered garbage. I was like, this whatever. So I heard, oh, Limited Run Games is doing a conference. I was like, oh shit, Limited Run Games, watch that. And that is the company that just re-releases games physically. So I wasn't expecting anything. Out of nowhere, they're like, oh yeah, we're doing River City Girls 2. I was like, oh god damn it, hell yeah! And it has online co-op, which I didn't even expect. The first one doesn't have it at all. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was expecting at least like a patch to throw in online co-op, but it's gonna be for the sequel, which is even better. It has more characters as well. The other cool thing I liked that they announced they're localizing the Japanese version of River City Girls. That's called something
Yeah.
else. But
Well,
it's gonna
the one
be
that came out in like 1994.
yeah, like it was called something else, but they're gonna call it River City Girls Zero for the Switch
Yeah.
release. But so I like that.
Yeah, it had
That's
a
kind
really
of cool.
bizarre long.
It's like Kunio. I read that title like one time, and I was like, yeah, okay, this I'm never gonna say this name ever again.
Yeah, it was like a really long name.
But yeah, like that because like River City Girls is one of my favorite beat 'em ups. It's just there are some boss fights that are just insanely hard. Like there's one where you fight like a rock musician, and I love the boss theme. But there's segments of this fight that I don't know what it expects you to do. Like she sends rock band notes that you're supposed to avoid, but it's like they're so close together, and it's like I can't really dodge these in time, so I keep dying in this fight, no matter how hard I try to dodge these attack, because it goes like a full screen almost. Like that game works a lot better co-op than single player, so it was such a bummer that it was only local co-op when it was released.
Well, gonna be online. Did you catch what was the release date on that?
They just said it was 2022, so sometime next year. They didn't give it
Okay.
a hard date.
So I have to wait
Well, River City Girls
till
Zero is coming out like later this year. Now that one I don't know it will have
yeah.
online co-op. I think it should, but I don't think it will.
I guess we'll find out, but we could always try Steam remote play together. Like we could play, you don't have to have, at least I don't think you have to have a Windows machine, and we could do like remote play for Steam games. Um like it basically streams your inputs to
Yeah.
my computer. Yeah.
Yeah, we could try that because I think yeah, I don't see why not, because it's not running on my computer, it'd be running on yours. The only thing I could think of is unless
Yeah.
the streaming software itself doesn't run on Mac. Like
Well, it's just Steam.
yeah. But I'm saying like
So,
it should. I mean, unless Steam uses a specific thing specifically for that, but I doubt it. I'm sure it'll work just fine. The
oh,
the other thing
yeah.
so we were playing so we also played Hyper Light Drifter when you visited. Oh, that developer's also doing another game as well, but I can't think of the name because they showed some gameplay at Summer Game Fest last week, but I can't think of the name. It looks kind of interesting, but I doubt it'll be co-op either because there's all this elaborate animations in that game, but I can't think of it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look it up.
Hyper Light Drifter was the one where it was like fighting birds or something.
Yeah, we follow that big ass crow. Speaking of
Yeah, yeah.
crows, so Devolver had their press conference on Sunday or Saturday. They announced this game that looks so good. It's called At Death's Door, and it's coming on Steam and Xbox July 20th. This one you play as a crow, and
Mm.
the whole point is you're trying to kill all these enemies that are supposed to be dead. Like you're kind of the Grim Reaper, and you're sending them to death's door. So you're fighting all these like gooky, like silly enemies. Like you fight this old ass lady that's like giant. You fight all these like weird enemies that are supposed to be that are dying pretty much. But the art style looks so good. It's like dark, but it's just you play as a fucking crow with like with hack and slash. Like it's a top down hack and slash game.
That sounds fun. Grim Reaper. You know what video game I played the most the past 2 weeks?
What?
So I was at two bachelor parties, and we were playing. I bought USB N64 controllers, and we were playing Mario Kart.
Oh
Um,
man,
have you have you ever played Drunk Driver?
no.
Drunk Driver is where you play Mario Kart, but you fill up a cup of beer before, and when you're driving, you can't drink your beer, but you have to finish your whole beer before you finish the race. So it's like if you start drinking, you got to put down your controller. So you have to so it's like if you get hit with a shell or something, that's a good time to take a sip because you can't move anyway. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh man, that's a
But it'll get you drunk.
that sound like those kind of drinking games sounds perfect for like Mario Party as well. Like you get
How would you play that with Mario Party?
maybe like every time you land on a red space, you drink. If you lose the mini game, you drink. You like that kind of shit. You have like rules like that where you just look at what's in the game and just base it off of what happens. Like chance time, whatever happens. Like if you lose a
That actually
star, you
sounds
drink
fun.
whatever. Like so it's so that could work out. And I just saw that on
And
the
if
fly,
someone gets a star,
huh?
yeah, it's like if someone gets a star, you have to drink. That could actually be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And the only thing that's fucked up is that like the old Mario Party games can last seemingly forever because the smallest amount of time is 20 turns. So you're gonna be doing that for like 20 turns, which can
Yeah.
last like I feel 20 turns would last like maybe an hour, but I don't know. It's been a while since I played like a Mario Party
Well,
game.
it would be less drinking than the drunk driver game because literally you have to drink an entire beer every time, and a Mario race takes 3 minutes
Yeah.
tops. So
Well,
it's like you
well,
drink a beer in 3 minutes and then you play another one. Two beers in 6 minutes is a lot.
well. This would be more of a like it's like those card drunk games, like we're like oh we're doing like
Yeah, yeah,
kings, like it'd be like that kind of shit.
right.
So
Exactly.
it would still work.
That's a good
Uh,
idea. I never thought of that. Mario
yeah.
Party.
And I feel like you just even maybe in fighting games like oh every hit you take a drink, every time you lose a round you take a drink, like dumb shit like that. But that's a little bit more like I don't know if that'd be worth it though, but it is what it is. I got it. Okay, people in the comment
I don't
section
know. Maybe
comment
that's
your drinking games, and we'll see which is the best one.
Theo. Theo, this might be a good idea for a stream. Drinking games, drinking video games.
You know
That
what?
could be a good stream. You just get drunker and drunker, and you're just eventually babbling about DSP again. It's like, yeah, you fucking stinks. Ah.
When I get well, that might not even happen. For some reason, every time I get drunk, I either just I don't remember half the shit that happens. I just get more talkative if anything. I just say a lot of like this nonsense, but I don't get like
Sounds about right.
so is that is what it is. But I've also been playing Ninja Gaiden recently because I got the Master Collection. Uh,
Really?
and
Oh, right.
so those come with like Sigma 1, Sigma 2, and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, which is the enhanced version of Ninja Gaiden 3. I played Sigma 1 on the PlayStation 3 when it was new, and I'm playing it now, and it feels like it was way easier now than it was back then. It doesn't even feel like the same game, because there's a part that I remember in Sigma 1, when I was playing the PlayStation 3, where I was like in this like lava area, and I just kept dying by enemies all the time. But now, when I'm playing it, I've never seen that area ever again. It's just, I was in like a ninja house, whatever. Then it went to an airship, and I was like, okay, like, this, but it's the same game. It just doesn't feel like I'm playing Sigma because I just don't remember it being this easy. Like I don't remember making it this far the first time because I quit the game because it was too hard. But now I can do it.
Well, maybe you just have the muscle memory now, and you're like, oh, I get how to play this.
That, or I've just been playing a lot of hack and slashes, and I just got good. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's like I think Devil May Cry 4 is harder than Ninja Gaiden. No,
Ninja Gaiden, not Ninja Gaiden. Devil May Cry 4 is this kind of bullshit though. I don't think it's that hard. It's just it has a lot of bullshit enemies. Like the enemy Blitz, which is a fucking electric demon that you can't really do anything unless it's like vulnerable. That is such a piece of shit enemy. It feels like a mini boss or a boss, but it's not. And it's like, why the fuck? Who designed this enemy? There's no way you can like kill it. So all I do every time I see him just spam bullets and then just wait until he's not electric and then just hit him with my sword and then just back off and just spam bullets again. Like
yeah.
it just ends the hack and slash action immediately.
What I mean to say is that I don't think Ninja Gaiden is actually that hard. I think it was just it's not the first of its time, but it was kind of the first to do what it does, if that makes any sense. Like
Yeah,
being
but
difficult like that and being so fast paced.
the only but the only thing I was like thinking of is because I know like Ninja Gaiden is whatever, but I just remember like when they did Sigma, they specifically want that game to be hard. Like they made that supposing to be challenging
Yeah.
because it's a Sigma release. But I don't know. The only thing is that I think maybe the Master Collection they rebalanced the game because I think they added more difficulty settings to it, so they might have that maybe that's what it is. Maybe like the Sigma challenge is like on a higher level, maybe. But it is fun. I've liked
Maybe.
the combat's really satisfying. Like the blocks, the parries, the ninja roll is like so satisfying to land.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden is unreal. It's so good. I might have to get that remastered collection because it's what's all the games?
Only the three: Sigma 1, 2, and Razor's Edge, which is the third one. The
So
but
I'm
this
trying to think of this, right? Ninja Gaiden was Sigma is just a re-release of the first one, right?
yeah,
Or is it a different game?
it's it's one of those games. I think it's the first game, but they added some differences to it. Like there's some enhancements to it. It's like kind of. I guess it
Then
would be kind
what
of
was Nin-
like Persona 4 Golden is to Persona 4. If that makes sense. Or like Devil May Cry 3 to
yeah.
Devil May Cry 3
But
Special
then
Edition. Huh?
so what was Ninja Gaiden Black then?
I think that I know that's an Xbox game, but
Oh, maybe it was just they released it for Xbox,
yeah, maybe.
and then Sigma was a special edition.
Yeah, because Sigma was PlayStation 3 exclusive. Because I remember Ninja Gaiden was always a debate in the console wars on forums. Every time I would go on the forums, it'd be like, "Well, the 360 has Ninja Gaiden, PS3 got nothing." And then it's like, "Oh, I hear that Ninja Gaiden Sigma's coming to PS3, not 360." It's like, "Oh, okay." Like
Wait a second. Wasn't the first Ninja Gaiden game on regular Xbox?
I don't remember. I know Gaiden 2 was on 360. I don't know if Gaiden 1 was ever on 360 or if that was just on Xbox.
I swear it was a PS2 and an Xbox game, like a regular Xbox game.
I don't think it was ever on PS. I don't think it was on PS2. Let me.
Now I'm super confused because there's so many different games. Because it's like it's one of those games that gets re-released every fucking day.
Let's see. Ada's European. Well, Sigma. Okay, so this is one of the differences. Sigma had no involvement with it. Itagaki. Itagaki didn't do anything with Sigma, so it's someone completely different who worked on it. Uh,
Yeah, the first game was just for Xbox. It wasn't even PS2. It was that era.
yeah. The gameplay for Sigma is very similar to the original version, albeit with some modifications made to the game. Like the original version, with players' movements and combat systems are directed using the console gamepad, which comprises of the left thumbstick. To attack. Okay. Again, getting way too technical now. This is like a whole paper on it. And then they did Sigma Plus
Yeah, who
for the
cares?
Vita. But this collection, there's a lot of people are not happy with it because they wanted the original Gaiden 1, 2, and I don't know if they even cared enough about 3 because 3 everyone hated Gaiden 3 when that was released. But they hated it because they were like, we don't want Sigma, we want like the original Ninja Gaidens. And the reason why it's only Sigma 1 and 2 is because the company lost the original games. Like they don't have any of the files of Gaiden 1 and 2. So they were like, oh, we'll just give you Sigma instead.
Right.
And then they censored the game somehow. I don't know what they censored, but they censored it, so people are mad about that, of course, because that's like what made Ninja Gaiden.
Probably just not enough titties.
Yeah.
Not enough titties. Put the titties back in the game.
You know, there's still a toilet scene in No More Heroes 3. Why no titty? It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
Give us the titty.
Travis Strikes Again came out on the Switch and Steam and all that. They released the DLC characters, which is Bad Girl and Shinobu. Those two characters get unique. Like in that game, Badman and Travis still use toilets to save, but when it's like they have a whole animation where you see them going on the toilet and then it says save. For Shinobu and Bad Girl, they don't show any animation when they go save. It's just like a blank screen is a save and that's it. So like they did censor them, but they didn't censor Travis or Badman when they go to the bathroom. So where was the outrage?
Messed up. Double standard.
But so this E3 they had like Devolver had their thing. They had that. They also showed off a game called Wizards with Guns, which also looked really good. I think this one also has multiplayer in it. You just play as wizards and you get to make your own kind of gun, like with different spells. Pretty much, so you can make like acid gun, whatever. You do all this goofy shit.
Wizard.
It looks so good. It looks so silly. I was like, like
Hilarious.
almost every game Devolver showed was great. The other thing I liked about their show was they were making so many jokes about all these streaming services. They're like, all right, we have this new service that you can like play all our games. It's called Devolver Digital Movie Pass Plus. Max Pass Plus. Come, join it. You can like do all this stuff, and you go to the website that they kept plugging. It's like, and the website just tells you, yeah, you've subbed here. You want to congratulations, you continue your sub, and it's like, it's this bullshit subs. You're not really like paying for it. They just pretend that you did. So it's like you have access to all these games that you can pay for later. But the one thing that kept cracking me up in that presentation, the lady kept saying, check a look. And I don't know why. I get to skip laughing every time she's like, oh, we got a new trailer. Check a look. Yeah, it's a stupid like play on words. It's just the nonsense that Devolver does every year. I just love how dumb their presentation is, and every year people always get mad about it. I always look forward to reading tweets from people saying, I can't fucking believe Devolver Digital did a press conference where they just fucked around. They were just sitting there just doing dumb shit all day. It's like, yeah, like they're making fun of all these other press conferences. That's the point. But they showed a lot of games to back it up. So I had all these. So Wizards with Guns, Death's Door, all games I'm like looking out for. While Microsoft had the one indie game I really liked was Replaced. It's another cyberpunk kind of setting, but it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. It looks like. So that one just looks amazing. Just the art style alone. And then they had The Ascent, which is a co-op game that looked really good, and Atomic Heart, which is another like first-person unique game as well. So the indie scene just knocked it out of the park. And then Nintendo showed off what was it? They showed gameplay for Shin Megami Tensei 5, which looked amazing. It is another like a game. It has all these cool RPG elements. It has the same shit that Nocturne had, which I fucking love. The same demon negotiation, fusions, turn system. The turn system is I I love the turn system in SMT3. It is so satisfying if you get to like draw out your turn cycle to just annihilate an enemy. So SMT5 just looks amazing. Just uh how it looks, and just they have this thing where it says the main character like fused himself with a demon, and I just don't know what that necessarily means, but it looks so fucking rad. I just can't wait for this game now. I'm glad it got a release date, and I'm glad they showed gameplay, because this game they showed it at like 2017, and they just showed a title like, oh yeah, we're working on this game for the Switch, and they never talked about it ever after that. Like, it was a no show in every single direct, and people were like, this game is canceled. They're not making this game. And then just out of nowhere, last year they said they showed a trailer. This year they showed gameplay and a release date. It's like perfect. Like, at least it showed way more than Bayonetta 3, which is not coming out.
That's so crazy that they could just be working on a game for 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, all of a sudden it's coming out. It's like so many other consoles came out within
And
that time period.
it's also crazy to me that during that they were doing Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5, I guess. I mean, I guess it was around the time when Persona 5 was out, but Royal they did, and then they did SMT3, the remaster, the same year that 5 is coming out. They did all these other games in the meantime, and then just have a release date for 5 and 3 in the same year. It's just, but I had a theory. Once I saw the gameplay of 5, I think they chose 3 specifically because it was a cult hit for a lot of people. A lot of people keep loving 3, but also I think the turn system and gameplay of 5 is very reminiscent of 3. But I haven't played the other SMT games, so I don't know if if they all play the same or not. But it's just 3's gameplay is just, it's so good. I love the turn based.
Games?
Huh?
Aren't the first games like text adventure games?
Maybe the very first.
Something weird like that. I remember reading about it, and it was like, how did this become fucking teenagers solving murders that are happening in the TV?
Yeah, it's weird because I think because I feel like in Persona 2, even that game is different too, because that one I think you play, that's the only game where I think you play as an adult in that game. And it doesn't have a heavy emphasis on the
Wow.
social links either. Like, it's just kind of there, but because I think 3 they started to kind of throw in the social aspect of those games, and that's where that came in. And that's another reason why I think you probably might like SMT a little bit more, is that has none of the social aspects of that game. Like, you're just straight up going through all these like dungeons and enemy and random encounters and boss fights. I just love in 3 what I think a lot of people would not like it, but it doesn't give you it doesn't like tell you where to go like blatantly. It's like, you need to go to that room right over there. That's where you need to go. It's like, yeah, our teacher is somewhere in this hospital. Find her. It's like, okay, like, we gotta find out where she is, and you're just searching around, and that's how you progress. Like, it feels more
Yeah.
natural, but it's just more interesting to see travel this world.
SMT3 or Persona 3 you're talking about?
SMT3, Shin Megami Tensei 3, that one.
Okay.
That one I think would be
Yeah.
more your style, because there's none of this like ambushing. You can't ambush an enemy. The other thing is that uh during random encounters, depending on your luck, you might like, for a while I thought it was a glitch where you would start a battle, all your party is facing the opposite direction away from the enemy, so the enemy would just have the drop on you, and I thought that was a glitch, but sometimes if you just do a random encounter, the game will just spawn you facing the other way just randomly, uh, and it determines if you get your turn to go or not. And that is something I do kind of like, is that there's multiple random things going on in that game, but it's just that the music is a lot better too. Just the boss theme is so intense, and I just loved it. Like, when I was fighting Dante, the music was so good.
Yeah. The way you described it makes me think I'll like it a lot, because like I mean, everything you said, like how there's random encounters, but it's like it tells you something might happen. Like there's way more tension from that perspective, and then like all the negotiation system sounds hilarious. Um, and the fact that you don't have to do this bullshit with social links sounds right up my alley. Because I was watching you play Persona 3, and I just saw the JRPG sections of it. So I watched you for like an hour, and you were in a dungeon the whole time, and I just saw the wackiness of it. And I was like, I gotta play, not knowing that most of the other rest of the game is not that. So it sounds like SMT is more of like the JRPG shit that I like.
Yeah. the the thing to me, like, what I liked about what I don't like about 4 is the social links in like 5 and 3 feel more like they're in tandem with the story. Like they're kind of like they deal with some theme that the main story is going through. Like there's a character that, like, in 3, the whole theme of Persona 3 is accepting death and just accepting that death is coming and overcoming that, or just or whatever. Like it has this like theme to it. So there's some S links that kind of deal with that idea as well. Like there's one where you're talking to this guy who's terminally ill, who's gonna die, but you're talking to him throughout that whole story. So I like that side of it. 4's S links are just, I don't care about any of these S links I've been doing. Like the only one I like is the hospital one, and that's just because it's so weird. Like you start off in the hospital and it looks like a horror movie where it's like you hear something over there, you continue working. Here's some courage. And then you just talk to this nurse, and the nurse is like hitting on you, saying dumb shit. It's like, okay, this is like stupid, but at least it's kind of fun to hear the story of what this lady's going through. But some of them are just, I don't give a shit. The party members I don't care about. Yukiko's S Link is lame. It just goes full circle to go back to back inside the cage and being okay with being inside the cage. Like, and speaking of Persona, like so this one person I follow tweeted something about Persona 4, and I just said, yeah, I didn't like how they wrote this character. After I said that, I got into this heated fucking Twitter debate with all these people. It's like, how dare you say that? Look, the character's theme is this way. I'm like, yeah, but I think the theme would be better if it's this instead. Then it would be different. Yeah, it would be different, but it would still go with the theme of the main game. No, it wouldn't, because you're changing it. It's like, and after that made me just the petty side of me just like, I hate the game more now. Just by dealing with that, it's like the fan base of 4 is so annoying sometimes. But
Do not engage with the fandom. Do not engage. They're all crazy.
yeah, it was bullshit, and so I was just saying, whatever, fuck it, I'll just play SMT3 instead, and I'll just have more fun there. Don't have to deal with that. It's just straight up killing demons or having them join.
Yo, so back to Ghostrunner. Okay, so I figure we should probably select the new game next week because obviously I didn't get very far in Ghostrunner, but you beat it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you never beat Bloodstain, so we both didn't beat a game.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
yeah,
fair.
but you didn't beat Ghostrunner because you didn't play it. Where I did play Bloodstained up until I just said fuck this game. So I did try many times. So that's where we differ.
Okay, but still, we still are 1-1. I owe one game, you owe one game.
All
I might
right.
try to play it and beat it. Like I don't not like it. I'm not gonna catch up to you. So we should pick another game.
All right, that's fine.
Um,
Fine with me.
we'll talk about that'll be our next week's one.
Okay.
And like things will start to slow down for me. Like I'll be less on vacation, so I'll have more time to play video games. Cause like right now I'm just like I got no work to do. I'm gonna go fucking chill. So I haven't been playing, obviously. Um, but yeah, so give me your thoughts, like overall. What's your review? Your quick review of Ghostrunner?
It's a solid indie game. I don't know how much it is full price because I got it on sale when it was like $10. But I think it's worth. If it's like 20, it's like worth that. Worth 25, whatever. It has a nice, like, I love the momentum. I love the style. I love how satisfying the combat is, and it doesn't feel like it throws anything out. It does feel like it incorporates what you've learned throughout the game, and the soundtrack is just fucking baller. I just love that soundtrack. I've been listening to it, and it's just I just love it. So if I were to, it was everything that Cyberpunk wish it was. But if I were to rate it, I would probably give it uh out of 5, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5. Because I do think the gameplay holds up. It's just the platforming is the only thing that's like the only thing that was just kind of a bummer in that it's very specific on your movements. But other than that, great game. I'd recommend it. So that there you go.
First person platforming is tough, so
Yeah, but
to be expected.
it does a good job at least. Like you, I feel like the more you play, you have a better lay of the land. Like you get more used to like, okay, there might be enemies there, and I think they do a decent job where you can't just die if there's anyone behind you. They're not gonna kill you unless you see them or whatever. So it does a good job balancing that. But yeah, I agree with that too. Oh, by the way, I do have
Yeah.
Killer 7. I do have that game now. So that's the yeah, I bought.
Should we play that?
The only thing I need now is a HDMI cord, like an adapter for it. That's all I need. But I can do standard def as well. But I need
an adapter.
to plug into the TV because I think I still have the power cord for my
Oh,
Wii. I just need
is it
something to
for
connect.
YouTube?
Huh?
1 second. Watch this. You need one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like
This
that.
is like $10 on Amazon. I can send you the one I bought. It works great.
All right.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It only goes up to 480p. I don't know if you want it to upscale or something. I don't know what to get.
That's
that,
fine. I mean,
but-
I'll probably just use the TV I have here is like a tiny TV, so I don't need anything fancy.
Are you gonna want to capture footage though?
I've been thinking about that because you know, yeah. So if I do get that, I'll probably be able to capture it easier too. So I'll order that then. Because I think I do have an adapter to capture that,
I'll
but
send you one I bought.
all right. Because I've been
Killer 7 is the game.
So there you go.
Right?
Yeah, Killer 7 is is rad. At least what it looks like.
But I'm saying for next week, I feel like we should just talk about. Did you beat it when you were younger?
No, I didn't even get far because I did the beginning part of the game and I couldn't get the controls and I kept dying and I got lost and I was like, I don't get this game, and I just returned it back to Blockbuster.
Oh. Because I was gonna say we should talk about our recap of it from what we remember, but I guess what you remember is the first level.
Yeah, if like because I do remember like I was in a science class in high school and we're like looking at like either Nintendo Power or some other magazine, and there was like a little like section about Killer 7 and I was like, oh, this game looks awesome. Oh, look, it has like all this cool ass gore. Oh, I mean, look at the art style. Oh, it's gonna be great. And I didn't even understand Suda51's like quirk with any of his games. So I played it, I was like, the A button is to move. What? Oh, okay, no. It is like I couldn't get over that. And then I played No More Heroes. I was like, all right, I get it. I get his quirky gameplay out of it. I need to send you. So there's a YouTuber I sub to that goes through all of Suda51's games, and it's so interesting to hear like all of the stuff that Suda put into every game almost, and some of the development stories because there's like a good segment of Suda51's career where he just kind of it almost sounded like he could have just ended his career because he was just when he was doing like Killer is Dead, Shadows of the Damned, and Lollipop Chainsaw, like those games were kind of like bastardized versions of what he wanted. So it kind of almost like Shadows of the Damned specifically. That game's whole development sounded like Suda51 was ready to quit game development after that. And I was like, but then like after that he went back to being indie, and that's where I got more of an appreciation for his games even more, where he just wants to have like a smaller group of devs now. Now he doesn't want he doesn't care anymore about being AAA. He's like, I'm just gonna stick with my smaller team a little bit better and be just focus on smaller projects instead, which is much more interesting.
Yeah, right. To have less oversight, so you can just actually make the art you want to make, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like how
Which
movies
he's
are,
very much.
huh?
I was just saying he's very much an artist. Like he makes weird ass shit. I'm like surprised some of his games even got looked because they're
Yeah,
so crazy. You'll see when you see the story of Killer 7, you're gonna be like, what? It makes nonsensical.
there is stuff where I don't know if I told you that. Oh, I did tell you this about Drakengard, where where like they just pitched Drakengard 3 to Sony, and Sony was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like they were just already fatigued, and they just didn't care because they probably saw Square was like publishing it, and they're like, yeah, okay, like if Square is backing it, I'm sure it'll be good. But because I think there's a good portion of game in the game industry where not a lot of companies cared what the game was, and they were just like, "Yeah, sure, we'll put it out," because no one's really gonna care. Now it's like because I do remember when we were at PAX East, we were talking to the devs of what was the game? Postal, I think. They're doing a new Postal game, or Serious. I think it was Serious Sam actually.
Also 4 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it was either one of those two games, and they were saying like, and because we were asking like, oh, because I asked him like, oh, are we gonna put this on like PlayStation or is it like gonna be Steam only? He's like, well, PlayStation always cares what's on their store, so we can't really put anything up there unless it gets approved. So we're just gonna be Steam for now and maybe PlayStation in the future. But I feel like at some point that's gonna catch up to Steam.
Yeah.
Eventually, Steam will start, and they kind of already did because they already like removed some like it always starts with the Weeb games. They're the first to go all the time. They always like because Steam did that, then like PlayStation on PlayStation they start censoring like these weird weeb games that I don't even think anyone gives a shit about. But what's interesting is so I was watching this other YouTuber, they were talking about this lawsuit between Apple and Epic Games. Because they're suing that whole thing about the Epic Game Store
Right.
and Fortnite and all that shit. And Apple goes through and they're like, did you know like they're talking to the judge like, did you know that that Epic has this game called Sisterly Love on their store? And they sold this and they're like and it's just and this is another indie game that's just this weeb game that someone just uploaded on their store because like Epic has like an open like hey small devs can upload whatever and Apple's like yeah see they have this game there that's called Sisterly Love. It's just some of the shit that Apple just brings up in their lawsuit is just like the most specific goofy shit that's like so it's that lawsuit's interesting
Uh,
how it's like opening up all this like niche stuff but it also just makes me think like it's not I don't think because everyone always wants to run to like artistic censorship but there's stuff that does deserve to be censored or like pulled back because sometimes some taboos are not worth going after but it's still like a
yeah. I
whatever
don't know why they got to
industry
snitch on the weed games.
because Apple wants to win the
Leave the
lawsuit.
weed games alone. Weed isn't even bad. No one cares about it anymore. It's becoming legalized all over the place.
No, not weeb, like anime, otaku shit.
Oh, weebs.
Yeah,
Okay, because those are weirdos. Like
yeah.
having sex with like a fox woman from like that's
This
like a teenager.
this 4,000-year-old a god that's like that looks like a lolly, but she's a goddess and she lived for thousands of years, so it's okay. Like, a lot of people like keep bringing that up. It's like, well, it's
Yeah,
art,
that
it's
shit.
fake.
No.
Hey, if you don't care about that, that's on you. I just don't like that kind of style. Like, Fire Emblem has a character that's like that. And it's like I don't care about this character. I care more about these other characters that are much more interesting. I don't care about this one like I don't care that she's a goddess or whatever, that she's been around for thousands of years. I don't give a shit. No, not for me.
Yeah. So ridiculous. Yeah, those games should get killed. But like also Apple's a fucking coward for that's okay. Now it's a problem because they're suing us. They wouldn't care otherwise.
Yeah.
Pieces of shit.
I mean, it's there's no for me. There's no horse in this battle because I don't give a shit about Epic and I don't give a shit about Apple. And Apple is like, sure, if they lose a lawsuit, it'd be great because then it would open more more developers will be able to upload their stuff without having to worry about Apple's approval or them taking a huge cut from their sales. So to a degree, it would be great if they lose, but at the same time, it's like, fuck Fortnite. I mean, they have enough of a share in that game.
Yeah,
We don't. Who cares? I don't know. It's whatever. There's no horse for me in this race.
yeah. I agree with Epic actually, just for the fact that like it's so stupid that on your phone there's only one way to really install apps. Like,
Yeah,
imagine if your computer you could only download things from the App Store. Like,
yeah,
what would you do? It'd be so annoying.
and people keep saying like, "Oh, well, that's to reduce viruses and all this stuff," but you could still get viruses on your Mac. Like if people want to give you a virus, they're gonna find other ways to do it. Like there were like 5 years where they had to keep telling people be wary of Flash updates, Adobe Flash updates that pop up because if they're not official, you're downloading malware. It's like, oh, okay, like so for a while you had to keep checking to see if your Flash stuff is like in line with what's out there before you could update, and it's like so the App
Yeah,
Store meant nothing for
but
that.
it, and it's also like the App Store. It's like I buy that, right? I completely understand. Okay, the App Store ensures that it's going to be the quality, but it's like I own this device. If I want to install a virus on it, let me do it. Like,
Yeah, like
you know what I mean? Like, it's fine to be like it's restricted, fine, but like let me install whatever I want. It's my fucking
yeah, and
device.
maybe what they should just do is just like offer like a service for developers like, hey, if you want to upload it, you can just put it up there immediately. But if you want to get approved, and we'll give you like a little badge saying that this is an approved app or something. Like like with Twitter and YouTube, they have like verified accounts. Like
Yeah.
just to have a verified system where it's like, okay, people can upload whatever, but if you're a verified developer, you get this little check mark and but have some criteria for that. Like just have that.
Right. Or just
Cause
let me install whatever app store I want. Who cares?
yeah. It could be
You know what I
like
mean?
both.
You don't have to host everything, but just
Yeah, like I mean, either way, like whatever solution works. Because well, when I had a Samsung for 2-3 years, and I this phone was good for like 2 years. After that, it was awful. Like it stopped sending me calls. But it. I was talking to the guy to the salesman about. I was like, oh well, what about the store? I was like, well, what you do is you just have to read the reviews and see the ratings and just judge off of like what you read. I mean, obviously, you don't read just nothing but the 5-star reviews. Just read all of the like general like ratings. Like if there's like a good variation of like scores, just go between the median and just seeing like what's the worst that this can say, what's the best, and then what's the in between. And that's what I've been doing just with any review. Like there's like a thing I'm buying, like for like the mics I've been buying. I just look at the reviews. I see what's the worst that people had, what's the best that they had with this mic, and what's the in between, and just seeing like what's the worst I can expect and what's the best I can expect, and then whatever's in between, I'll know like will this have a good like life? Is it worth getting this? Whatever, and then I get what I get. And that's what I feel with the App Store, like or anything in general. Just read what's out there and see what you're downloading. Because if it's a virus or a scam, like
yeah.
someone's gonna say, "Hey, you don't download this." There's always a good Samaritan out there.
Right. Yeah. But whatever. They'll figure it out. Eventually we're gonna be able to do whatever we want with our phones, but whatever. So what do you think? We call it? Ghostrunner, what's the score?
It was a 4 out of 5. I don't know how would you score it? Just out of what you've played. I mean, as little as it was, like what would you feel it would land for you?
Um, I would agree that it deserves a 4 out of 5. Not so much my cup of tea. Like again, first person games, just I don't usually play them. So obviously it's a first person game, so I'm not used to them to begin with. And then also it's like all that platforming stuff. So it's like not a game that immediately connects with me, but when I get some time to sit down and play it, I know I'm gonna enjoy it. Because it was a lot of like once you start getting the hang of things and you're like sliding, jumping off a billboard, slashing, that stuff is very satisfying and fun. But you have to get good. So a question about that though. Do you think any of the skills you got from this game will transfer to other first person shooters?
Hmm. Maybe. I don't know because I feel like it at some point with this game, it just kind of landed where all first-person shooters land as far as like aiming is concerned. Like, I feel like I'm still the same with that because I've just gotten better just innately with FPS games because before I just wouldn't be like looking around as much. I would just be kind of going straight, and then like if I had to turn off to like turn, then whatever. I wasn't like moving straight, then just like looking around at the same time. Like I wasn't as like flexible initially when I was first starting to play FPS. But this maybe like in the reaction times it would get a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't play a lot of FPS games because
Yeah.
they're not my cup of tea either. Like this game, like part of the reason why I gave it a 4 as well was just that I wasn't expecting to like it as much, and I didn't and just the style and the satisfying gameplay just really got me to enjoy it. Like because I played Call of Duty, I played like Halo, and those games like I would play and be like, oh, this is fun. Then I would just kind of wander off. Like Ghostrunner, like I'd always come back to, and I always keep playing
Right.
it. So there was at least something there because it felt like just like Hollow Miami in first person.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So yeah, cool. You know what's funny is Killer 7 is halfway. That gameplay is half third person and half first person. If you remember.
I do. I have seen gameplay of. I've seen stuff about this game. Like I've watched someone play this game on Twitch before. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what got me to really want to play it because it's like, uh, as I said many times, like during that period of time when like the PS2 and GameCube were a thing, I really wasn't like versed in games. Like I didn't like turn-based. I didn't like hard platformers. Like I liked very easy games. Like I'd probably play games on easy at that point. Like I gave up on Zelda just because I couldn't figure out how to get all the shards for the Triforce and Wind Waker and all that, and I just hated the sailing at night when all these sharks and enemies would show up. Like that shit scared me when I played Wind Waker the first time. So I was like, yeah, don't want to play that anymore. But now it's like I've been at least a little bit more like, okay, I'll play this, I'll try that and see where that goes. It's like you eat a certain food that you hated as a kid. You try it again now, and it's like, oh, this is way better than when I tried it
Yeah.
when I was young. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. So I guess we'll see how that goes. Should we start playing it now, or do you want to just talk about it
L-
impressions the next video?
let's talk about it because I don't want to start until I get that device
Oh,
for the
yeah,
HDMI.
yeah, yeah, right. I'm gonna text that to you right now.
The
The one I bought. It works really well.
oh man, I was gonna say something else though because I remember you were saying like you want to play a game that was like an adventure game, and I had a game in mind, but I can't think of it now.
No, that's fine. Killer 7 is gonna be
But
awesome.
yeah, all right.
I'm so happy. It's very excited to play it again because I played it once or twice when I was a kid, and I beat it, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just play?" Apparently, the product that I used is not available anymore, but I could find you another one.
All right.
Um, but yeah, Killer 7 is fucking awesome. So looking forward to playing it. Yeah, so it should be fun. Solidus did nothing wrong.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.